Hey, well, this is, I guess, my first video I'm ever going to make. I wanted to somewhat just document everything I've been going through recently, and I don't know, hopefully it helps some people out there, and if they've been going through a similar situation, and I guess that's what I hope to do with this, and if it finds you, great, I guess. If not, well, maybe you weren't supposed to find it, and just a random person on the internet speaking their random shit to you. But yeah, mostly I wanted to just document the insane changes I've been going through recently. Um, and I thought I'd just start off at the very beginning, what happened, and I guess how I am now. But basically, I have not been religious all my life. I've been a little spiritual, all that stuff. And for the most part, I really didn't follow God that much. I mean, I believe there was something, but for the most part, I didn't really believe in it. But, and now I'm like a full believer in God, and I don't know, being with the universe and all this stuff, and finding peace finally after 36 years of my life, and just feeling I'm in a really much better place than I've ever been before. And yeah, I just want to, and of course I'm not done yet. No, I still have a lot of things I'm going through, but um I'm not done yet, but I thought this is maybe healthy for me to do this, healthy for maybe someone else, like maybe wants to watch it. But yeah, I thought to just get it out there, and hopefully, well, it helps me, and then maybe it helps someone else. But I guess I'll start at the beginning. Um, I fell in love with somebody, like again, and in my case, I was married for 10 years in the past. Went through a divorce and all this, um, like 2 years ago, and it wasn't a very nice and clean divorce. She cheated on me and so on. Um, I was completely just destroyed completely. Um, and in my case, um, it was not the healthiest relationship, of course. And I was going through a lot of problems too. I was a really bad depression, um, really a lot of self doubt, and I just felt so physically inept in so many ways. Um, I had a major heart surgery, and I just felt so weak, so worthless, and even like when tried to return to work, I passed out my first day of work, and stupidly, I rushed back to work, just so we can actually have money. Um, I was supposed to go on break for a whole 3 months, and I went back in 2 months. But um, yeah, probably not the smartest idea, but I wanted to get back from there. But yeah, I my self worth at the time was really tied to like my wife, and not necessarily myself. And the whole validation of me, my existence, felt like it was completely tied to her. My happiness, like my happiness is her happiness, all this stuff. And of course, like I went back to work when I shouldn't have so early. And then of course, unfortunate side is, yeah, I get depressed and weak, do nothing. I was on sick leave, and yeah, I admit I wasn't the most attractive person to be around. And yeah, of course, she finds somebody else. Yes, we were married for a very long time, but yeah, And of course, in theory, you say in sickness and good health when you're married to another person, but the other person can only take so much, and they will leave if it's just not suiting them anymore. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it probably wasn't suiting, but of course, was it what we had really love? And no, it probably wasn't. It probably wasn't true love. It was just this attachment. It was a lot of this, and I had that for like I said, we were together for like around 12 years, 10 years married. And yeah, and originally, this relationship, how it started is I was kind of a Superman figure for her at first. I was very loving, caring, supportive, and I was just there for her. And at the same time, she had big insecurity problems. She was so beautiful. I loved her regardless. But of course, she was even cutting herself, and she had really bad alcohol addiction problems, and they got progressively worse and worse over time. Those addiction problems, and in my case, I did not really drink that much, or I didn't care to drink. But of course, she wanted to drink, and I drank a little. I was like, oh, we're young, yeah, we're supposed to drink sometimes. But in her case, it just never stopped, and eventually had to control it, and it just escalated so bad she couldn't even like study anymore. Like the alcohol problem was just consuming her life entirely. And of course, I did everything in my power just to help her, but eventually I did the correct thing. I had to let go. She had to go back to Finland. That's where she was from. We met in the United States in college, but she had to go back. And then when she got back to Finland, it just got worse and worse. She even got into drugs, all that stuff. It got progressively worse. And of course, this whole time I still loved her, even though she was with other people and all this stuff. And yeah, but I loved her regardless. And like I said, this whole time I just got my validation through a relationship, through another person, and not necessarily myself. I was in a relationship I should have never been in, probably in the first place. Or maybe, well, the way I look at things now, I guess I was. And timing has its own ways, but I probably was meant to meet her, come here to Finland, yada yada, and all that. But yeah, and now after the divorce, she tried to leave me for another person, another Mr. Wonderful that she thought loved her and all this. But after her 10 years of being sober, when we were married, she went back into not this time alcohol, but just hard drugs. And yeah, the relationship didn't end up well for her. Of course, he did not love her the way I did. She left me for somebody that probably just used her for sex. That's the reality, and just threw her away like she was nothing. Like the way she threw me away, basically. But yeah, and of course, in my case with her, and his case with her, of course, it really wasn't probably real unconditional love for either. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, now she's just in a really bad state now. Just in her case, she takes a drug called amphetamine, she might take many other stuff, but I don't know specifics. But basically, her whole existence is just tied to this drug completely. That's her only real happiness that she has. I say happiness because she's just miserable, of course. She hates herself, all these things. She wants to kill herself, all these things. And that's a really hard weight to carry, of course, for myself. Because, of course, I will always love her. Regardless of how she treated me. I will always love her. And I always wish the best for her. Of course, there was a period of time where I wish things weren't so well with who she left me with, and she would come to her senses or things like that. And I had moments where I just wish that, God, I wish things don't go that well. And I regret those words, of course. I regret those words. I really wish I don't know. I was just so hurt at the time, and I can't blame myself either. I mean, we're only human. Yeah, true. We are only human, and I was just very upset over her and everything she did to me, and it was not nice, of course, what she did. But I should never. I mean, I never did revenge or anything like that or anything harmful to her. And in her case, her family loved me regardless. They only showed support for me. They know I was a good husband to her. And for the most part, they kind of disowned her. They know I was a good man. And I know too now. I was a good man to her. And not the strongest person at the time, of course, but I was a good man. But I was going through a lot of stuff, and she seeked other areas, and I don't know. I don't blame her, and of course I forgive her. I've always forgive her. But even through this whole divorce process and all of this, for the most part, I didn't change that much as a person. I didn't really change, like, myself, my values, how I want to live life, all these things. Even though I was like, it was quite shattering of an experience, but it didn't necessarily want to change my lifestyles or anything. And then recently, I met this person, and we were only really together for like 5 months, very short amount of time. And then there was a breakup situation, and in this relationship, I did fall into the same problems I did before with my ex-wife. I tried to be Superman again. I tried to always be there for her. She was just not in the best place either. She was, suicidal. She just didn't love herself. She was self-destructive. She's impulsive. She, smokes constantly, drinks, all this stuff, and in general just does not have a healthy lifestyle at all. But I loved her, fell into the same problems before, and so you think like, oh yeah, you didn't really learn from your mistakes, did you? Like, no, I didn't learn. I'm a magnet for these people, it seems. So someone needs a very loving, caring, Superman-like guy. I'm there, and I love them unconditionally and all this stuff. And I guess I should not say unconditionally. That's something I learned recently. But yeah, through this small period I had with her, and then there was this period where I did pull away for a bit. In her case, she's had a bad past, really bad relationships in the past, and bad family upbringing, all this stuff. And it led her to not really, it, it made her hard to trust and love, basically. I told her like many times I loved her, and in her case, she never said that back to me. But I always said I loved her, all this stuff, and I was always there for her, all these things, and everything we did together was, I don't know, it felt magical in the way this communication we had, because what I learned too also about her, we mirrored each other a lot. So what I learned is we both mirrored each other a lot in this, in our past, basically. I learned we basically have almost the same exact mother, which is very strange. Her father sounds almost very similar to me in a lot of ways. And a lot of things she went through felt oddly way too familiar in my case. But the main difference was I feel there was something I had that stopped me from doing a lot of poor decisions in life. Mostly, it was my heart condition. But easily, I could have fallen to the same scenarios, never learned to respect myself, all these things. But my heart condition I had heart surgery for, of course, I mentioned earlier, made me respect myself more. Like, I know if I didn't have it, I probably would have been smoking a lot. I would, hell, even be drinking more, trying more drugs. Of course, I smoked weed in the past, but I stopped there. And then what stopped me from trying more is honestly just thinking about my heart, and like, oh, weed is already too much for my heart already. I already feel like boom, 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 boom. Like, if I take other shit, it's probably just gonna kill me. So I never went that route. I never really. I just learned to take care of myself and try not to do those things. Of course, I still ate unhealthy and all that stuff, but I did my best. But I've learned now, looking back at her life and my life, that we really mirrored each other a lot in so many ways. And in her case, there was some miscommunication. I started to pull away a bit. She thought I got this interested in her, but of course I still loved her, but I just started to feel a little bad around her, because I felt I loved her, and like it didn't feel right being around her, because I just wanted love back, and I learned to pull away. But this whole time I still loved her, but it became harder to visit her and all this stuff. And yeah, eventually we stopped, like we still talking to each other like every day basically, but we stopped like kind of seeing each other at each other's places. And eventually she found somebody else, and she thought and she found someone else very quickly, like within like a month. But in her case, like she just really needed, it's like she desperately needs somebody around always. And I wasn't there. She found someone else. I don't know the details, what happened. But yeah, and of course, while she was seeing this other person, she was still like talking to me, but she didn't say anything. And to me, of course, we were more than just friends and all that. But from what she said, I don't know if anything is true yet. But basically, she thought I was like this. I was just interested in her, and she. It sounded like she made a really bad decision of all this, from the sound of it, and now she's like made her bed with it, basically. And of course, I was very frustrated with her, as anything, because I loved her, but then and again, when I wasn't just emotionally there for a little bit, I was tossed away. And of course, that sucks. And in her case, it sounds like she really regretted the whole process. And instead of like really confronting me about any of this, she just blocked me on everything. I never really got closure from her. Yeah, she just blocked me on everything. I do think she did really care about me, but I think her own insecurities led her to just find something temporary, find just something. But either way, I did pull away first, and it's both our faults. And I didn't communicate properly, and in all honesty, I probably couldn't communicate with her properly. She it is very emotionally unstable, and I don't think she could handle me saying that I was just starting to become unhappy with her. In some cases, this, for her, it's probably the best case scenario, I guess. Of course, in my case, no, it was very heartbreaking. But I'm able to take it, of course. But I know she wouldn't be able to take that. That this connection was just, it wasn't making me happy anymore. But after all of this, this whole blocking and all this scenario, and her just running from everything, and of course never saying her real emotions, how she felt about me and all this stuff, it started to change me in a really weird way. At first, I was just obsessed the whole time, out of nowhere. And I didn't understand, what's going on? This is just a 5-month connection. Why is it making me feel this way? And she's just another woman that left me, treating me badly, all of this stuff. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I just have this pull for her in my chest this whole time? I didn't even have this for my wife. It was very strange. And this pull to her, this weird, unusual pull to her, just started to wake something up in me, and I would try to go through this whole process. But basically, now I can kind of confirm a little bit, because this whole time I thought I'm just going crazy or something. But it's something called a twin flame connection. Is probably is what happened. We mirrored each other so much in so many ways in our life, and in a way she is me. And now when I was separated from her, it felt unbearable. So what a twin flame is supposed to be, if you want to believe any of this spiritual nonsense, it's basically the theory that it's the same soul in two bodies, and it creates this connection like that. And unfortunately, in the twin flame connection, exactly what happened to me happens to basically all the twin flame connections, all of them basically. There is a runner and a chaser dynamic, and yes, the runner normally blocks you on everything, and it has to do with trying to avoid the intense emotional feelings. Because hell, if she flat out just wanted me gone completely, all this stuff, she'd be very clear about it. Most most people are. It's like, oh yeah, I don't love you. Oh this, all this stuff. I get the fuck away from me. All this stuff. Of course, it was just silence from her. So yeah, this is the. I guess this is the first part of my journey so far. But yeah, it started with love and heartbreak. That's how this all started originally. And but yeah, now I've just been going through this like spiritual journey that's just been crazy. It's been changing me in so many ways. I'll explain in the future. But yeah, I thought to just put this little video out there and explain my situation. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I love every one of you. Hope for the best for all of you. And yeah, I guess I'll hopefully see you another time. But yeah, I guess bye for now.